Hey guys, it's Chris here, Tickle Me Pinkeries. So I was just trying to do a live twice, and it kicked me off both times. So I'm just going to go ahead and video it. I'm kind of sad that we're not getting to do it together, but you know, I'll video it and I'll go through some things with you and show you how I did this. So what I'm doing is I'm starting with this big chunky watermelon. I don't know how big it is. It's probably, I want to say probably 18, 20 inches, probably. And I've already attached it, but what I did to attach it, it has a circle, a little wire metal hook. And what I did was I attached it in 3 different places, one by the hook, and then I ran a pipe cleaner through 2 different places in the, I don't know if this is grapevine, but it's very small grapevine in 2 different places. Let me show you how I did that on the evergreen. So it is attached in 3 different places. Let me show you in the back. It's attached here by the hook and then in 2 different places. That way it's on here. It is not going anywhere. And I have it offset at an angle a little bit going this way because the top of my wreath is right here. So I've already cut my mesh. Let me show you. I cut my mesh in about 17 to 19 inches. I don't measure, I just cut. I'm using all 10-inch mesh. We're using a little bit of green, the black and white border stripe, the red and white border stripe, and then I'm using a burlap jute. Just a burlap collar. So I'm using all 4 of those in the wreath tonight. And so I'm just gonna get started. Let me show you some of my ribbon, beautiful ribbon. And then I'm gonna put all these together. So that's gonna be really pretty. So all I do is I just put it up to my chest and I'm rolling in the where I cut. And the reason I do that is just to keep it from fraying, keep the frayed edges down inside. So then I just start up here in the corner and I just start applying my mesh. And what I do is I just alternate colors throughout the whole mesh until we're done. And then we'll start adding our florals and our ribbon. And I've got some cute watermelon picks here. They are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. So that's what we're going to be doing. So again, you just put it up to your chest and you just roll it in and squish it. And then it makes this nice little ruffle. And all I do is I just take the pine needles and I wrap around the mesh, and it holds it right there in place. So before I started, you know, before I put the watermelon attachment on here, what I did was I went through and I fluffed up all of these pine needles. Just wanted to make sure they're all fluffy and they weren't laying down flat, because if you ever received a wreath from, I don't know, Sim's Pottery or another wholesale place, or if you've even ordered it online from Hobby Lobby or wherever, it comes very flat. So you need to go ahead and just fluff up your wreath before you use it. So again, I'm just alternating colors. And then put it up to your chest and roll it in. And then just put it in the pine needles, and I just give it a couple twists, and that way it secures it in there. Let's see. So don't worry when you first put your attachment in these little pipe cleaners, they're not going to show. They're going to be hidden either by the mesh that we're adding or the embellishments that we're putting into the wreath. The florals, the watermelon picks we're putting in. Something is going to hide that, so you won't have to worry about it. You won't have to worry about seeing it. So don't worry about that. See, that mesh is just going to cover all of that up. I'm probably going to have to cut some more mesh, so I'll show you how I do that. I'll show you how I measure and bring it all up and get that cut for you. Now, if you're doing if you're doing Christmas and you're using evergreen wreaths, you don't have, the evergreen bases, you don't have to worry about the pine showing. But when you're doing your springs and your summers, you really don't want to see the pine needles. So I try to either put mesh in here to cover that up, or try to get everything covered up by your embellishments, your flowers, your greenery, your ribbon, or things like that. And I told you to alternate, but really and truly, if you're going along and you're like, oh, I didn't alternate correctly, or I got out of sequence, nobody's going to know. There's going to be so much in this. There's going to be so much in this wreath that you're not even going to know that you did not alternate perfectly on the colors.
Miss Chris, do you prefer fabric, or what type of mesh you like to use?
So Eric, he is my other half, my better half. He's over here. He's over here playing with my mesh, and he wants to know what mesh I use. I do have some fabric. Fabric is really not. I like fabric. I love fabric mesh, but it's really not the best when you're putting it outside, especially if it's going to be. The wind and the rain is going to hit it. It's not the best. I love the border stripe, and it's just a basic poly deco mesh. There's nothing fancy. I never use paper. Paper mesh is not good at all with wreaths.
What's the core mesh? Is that the same as poly?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay, looks like I am going to have to cut some more mesh, so.
While she's cutting more mesh, I'd like to show you guys on some future designs that I've been trying to get Miss Chris to do it. And maybe you guys will comment and say, hey, do this. Look at this wonderful sign. Isn't she cute? That ostrich, and think of the colors you could go with that. For summer, this is just perfect. And it'd be a larger wreath, of course, maybe a swag. I actually selected a large oval grapevine wreath.
What does it say, Eric?
Fabulous is my favorite color.
Fabulous.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. She looks fabulous. When I saw that, I think we bought it at Carolina Pottery. When I seen that sign at Carolina Pottery, I had to have it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it,
yes,
and obviously I haven't done anything with it yet. But I absolutely love the ostrich and her, I don't know, all of the florals and the colors that was coming out of her. I absolutely loved it. So I had to have the sign. So what he's telling me is, Chris, you need to do something with this. So back to the mesh. What I do is it comes like this. I just pull it up and I just cut. I just pull it up and cut. And it doesn't matter if it's
about 2 foot.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's about 17, 19 inches. It doesn't matter if it's a little shorter, a little longer. Doesn't matter at all. Nobody is measuring your mesh when they're buying your wreaths. So don't worry about that. So the way I choose my mesh colors is all my colors that I chose was from the colors in the watermelon. So it had the black, the red, and a little bit of this cream, and then the green. So that's how I come up with all my colors. Actually, for not only my mesh, but for my ribbons too, is I went ahead and I go from the colors that I have in my either your embellishment, your sign, or the watermelon, or if you're doing lemons, whatever you're doing, it usually comes from that, what you're going to do. Now, you can also use 21-inch mesh, and I do that sometimes, but I really love working with the 10-inch. 10-inch is so easy to work with, but I do use the 21-inch. In fact, I have a lot of 21-inch that I need to start using before I order my before I order any more 10-inch mesh. So I'm just going to cut a few more here. Usually when you're cutting all these, you have this big mountain of mesh. Huge mountain of mesh when you're cutting the 10-inch. So even when I'm using 21-inch, what I do usually is I'll go around the perimeter, the outside perimeter of the wreath with the 21-inch, and then go in the middle and add the 10-inch. This is probably the most time-consuming part of making the wreath, is cutting the mesh and getting the mesh in here. So after we do that, then we'll get to all the fun stuff. Again, I just put it up to me, roll it, and then scrunch it in. I give it a couple good rolls before I start scrunching it in, because I want the cut mesh to be inside. So you want to give it a couple nice rolls before you squish it. So you bring it up, you make sure these are tucked in, and you roll them a couple times, and then you just squish them together. It's hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just adding mesh all the way around. So I prefer the using evergreen bases, but you can use a work form. A work form is a metal. I don't have any right here because I really don't use them hardly at all anymore. A work form is just a metal form. Usually you get them, I don't know, 15 inches, and there's 3 or 4 rings of the metal, and I think there's 18 ties on the entire work form, and that's where you'd put your mesh. That's where you're limited to putting your mesh is in those ties. So I really prefer using this because look at all these ties I have. I can put my mesh anywhere I want it. I can put my my picks or my florals anywhere I want it. I don't have to go specifically where the work form ties are. Next time I come on here, I will bring a work form on here so I can just show it to you so you know what I'm talking about. In fact, there's several different bases. Work form is one, and then I use the evergreen base. I use usually a 20 or 24 inch. Another one that is, I also use a evergreen swag. I typically try to do 30 to 36 inches on those. They do come in shorter ones if you don't want a huge. So, see, grapevine is another base that I work a lot on. I love the grapevine. And I think I've done a grapevine on a live with you guys. Wow, I need some more mesh. And we did that. You can use pretty much, what else? You can buy, even, okay, let's see if we didn't want to put this big watermelon in this wreath. You could have just taken this watermelon, added some greenery and a bow, and just sold it like that. I chose to put mine in a wreath because that's the look that I was going for. But you don't have to. You could have just taken that, and like the sign that Eric was just showing you, the ostrich I'm fabulous sign, that also you could just put a little, you could glue, hot glue with your Gorilla Glue, what do you call it, foam, styrofoam. You could glue that to it, put you some hanging down florals, greenery, and a nice juicy bow in there with all those beautiful colors, and that would be perfect for that sign. Or you can put the sign in a wreath, you know, but it's going to be a pretty substantial wreath once you get that sign in there, because that sign is pretty substantial. But see, if I would have cut enough mesh, guys, to do this whole thing, I would have needed 2 mountains of mesh, because there is so much mesh I use going into this. So that might be another question for y'all. How much mesh? I have no idea. What I can tell you, and I will show you when I'm done here, how much mesh I have left, and that'll kind of give you, I usually use about 3 whole rolls of 10-inch mesh doing these wreaths. But I did use 4 colors tonight. Let me see. I'm almost done, guys. This is like the I don't want to call it the boring part, but the fun part is putting all your florals and your picks and all that. Oh man, I love doing that. That's the fun part. I'm going to use this last one right here because I do not like all these showing. And so that's a good thing when you're doing this. If you go back and you see, you can go back in your wreath and you can look, and if you see like a big ginormous spot, like I see a spot right here, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of green in there. You can just cut some off and just add it wherever you see that you have too much of the your pine needles sticking through. So you didn't even know I added that in there. And you can just go and look. See this pine, like here, this is not going to matter. This is going to be covered up by florals. So I think I'm done with all the mesh. Let's see what I got here. All right. So there we go. That is the mesh. What I usually do next is I usually add my bow. I usually put my bow right in here, and I'll probably put another smaller bow up here. So you'll have a big bow down here, and then a smaller one here. So let me get my ribbon out here. Now I can make a bow by hand. I am going to make my bow tonight on the Easy Bow Maker. I think it might be a little, it might be better for you all to see that, to see how you do it on a bow maker. That kind of, when I started, that kind of helped me learn how to make one by hand. So let me bring out my bow maker. And all it is just, it's an Easy Bow Maker. You can get them from Deco Exchange, Michael's. I do not think Hobby Lobby has them. And what it is, it's just a wood. It has measuring here from 8 inches on both sides. That way you can measure your loops. And it has 2 dowels here. And then it has one over here, but I never use this. This is for you to put your ribbon in. I don't use it. It gets in my way. So I've chose to take that one out. A lot of people I see use the Easy Bow. They definitely use that, and that's fine. But mine is missing this extra dowel. It has a little short one here. It's missing because I don't use it. So these are the ribbons that we're using. And what I usually do is I just drop my ribbon to the floor. It's easier for me, so you'll probably see me a little bit later bend over and pick it up. Now, when I'm doing the ribbon, you want to know about how long you want your tails. So you can just take your ribbon up here. I know my bow is going to go at an angle, so I would say my tails are probably going to be at least about 16 inches. So the other side of this ribbon is not finished. See, it's got the pretty side and it's got the ugly side. Some ribbon is two-sided. This one is not. So because it is not, you have to twist it and put it down in here. So let me move my ribbon so you guys can see this. So I twist it. Now you've got this ugly side, I'm going to call it. You've got the ugly side up. And the reason you twist is because when you bring the pretty side back over, then you get to see the pretty side. See, if I wouldn't twist, you would see this ugly side. See? No good. So when you come back over here, you have to twist. And you come back up and you put it in here. Now I'm making about 8-inch loops. If I was to use a 4-inch ribbon, I would probably make 7-inch loops because I would only make one loop. With this, I'm gonna make 4 loops. And again, it's easy. You just measure out 8 inches. I mean, it's right here on your board. You push it down in and you can twist. And bring it out again and through here. Don't forget to twist because you'll get that ugly side. Now, when you have it hooked up here to your Easy Bow, you can manipulate your ribbon. You can push it up, you can move it down. However, I don't really mess with my ribbon when I have it on here. You can put your tails coming up to the top. On this one, I don't want tails at the top, so I'm just doing everything coming down. So there's that one. Then I'm gonna go with the watermelon. And again, I'm just gonna drop it. Now I'm not cutting my, ooh, something's sticking me. I'm not cutting my ribbon yet, as you noticed. I won't cut it until I actually get it on the wreath, so I know I don't wanna cut it too short. So again, I'm just gonna take it down about 16 inches. I'm gonna twist and put it in here. I'm gonna bring my loop over. And I'm gonna make this one about 7 inches. And it's just a little bit smaller than your other one. Again, you have to twist it and bring it over. Again, you can measure because it's on your Easy Bow Maker. I'm only going to do 2 loops of this. So again, I'm not cutting it. I'm just leaving it lay. I'm just leaving it lay on the floor at this point. Now, this one is the same on both sides, except this side has a very thick black polka dot. This is the pretty side. The other side is just the fabric, but it doesn't have the very large polka dot. So you still have to twist this one. You're going to bring it in just a little bit smaller than your other one. And if you wanted to measure, just move them out and push it down to the board. It's about 6 inches. Remember, you have to twist and bring it back over. And then I'm just going to top it off with, ooh, I don't like the red on red. Eric, is there a black one over there?
Like what?
Black.
Ribbon?
Yes. I think there is a D. Stevens that is very,
with a little red.
let me see.
That might look good with the red edge.
I think it's more orange, babe.
No, put it against the red. It's red.
Huh, well, I still don't want red on red.
Okay, I got you.
Hey guys, I'm looking because when I put it on there, I don't like the red on red, so.
See what I have to deal with?
He's saying, see what he has to deal with. So there should be a D. Stevens there, Eric, that is very small and little checked.
Checks.
Yes, yes, okay. Hopefully I have enough of this, guys. Woo! I might have just enough to make the bow. I do, I think. I might just have to do 1 loop of this. But this is, I love this ribbon. I love it. I absolutely love it. So because I only have 1 little strip, I'm only going to do 1 loop. So I'm only going to do the 1 loop, guys. So again, this is what I'm talking about. If I would put this in here, you see how the ugly side is up? So you have to twist. So let me just go ahead and put it in here for you. Still twist and bring it up. And we're just going to do that 1 chunky loop. See how it's got both pretties. Both pretties. But we just got that 1 loop in the middle. All right, so once I get done with my bow, and I know this is kind of how I want it, you can use pipe cleaners, which is what I'm going to do. I usually use pipe cleaners. Since I'm going through this big pile of mesh, this mesh is very thick on this wreath, I usually put 2 pipe cleaners together. And then I just twist them. I just twist them. And what I was going to say is I use pipe cleaners, but you can use zip ties. A lot of people use zip ties, especially if you're using like a 4-inch ribbon. Some of the nicer designer ribbon is very thick, and using a pipe cleaner makes sure it is tight in the middle and it's held together. But this bow is not that thick, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this. So what happens is I always just put it on the top, and I pick up the bow with my fingers underneath, holding it kind of together on the sides, and I run my pipe cleaner underneath. Now, once I get my pipe cleaner underneath, I have a hold of my pipe cleaner. My ribbon is not going anywhere at this point. If you notice, there's this little crease where it was in my easy bow. What I do is I just take my hands and I kind of push it together, and I just kind of move that pipe cleaner down in that groove. And then I take it and I hang on to it. I pull it back and I pull it tight, and then I twist my pipe cleaner. I give it several good twists. That way it's not going to come out in your wreath. So at this point, this is what you have. You have a bow with 4 loops, and then the watermelon, and then the 1 loop in the middle with just a teeny tiny tails, and that's fine. So I'm gonna move my easy bow over, bring my wreath back. And I'm just going to attach it right here at the angle, at an angle. So what you do is you just go through the middle of your mesh. Once you go through the middle of your mesh, you're going to hit those bars on the bottom. I typically like to run my pipe cleaner one on one side and the other on the other side, and then twist it down in. You can also take your pipe cleaners and twist it around an evergreen pine needle or pine tine. Somebody I watch calls it a pine tine. I forget who does that. But I take it and I run it through. Now, if you need to see what you're doing, it's okay to flip your wreath over. Flip it over. Nothing is going to get squished. You can puff it all back up. It's fine. So I got it on there, and you don't want to pull it like super tight, because what's going to happen is the mesh is going to suck your bow up in there. But I pull mine pretty tight, and then I just wrap it around a couple times, and then I leave it. So on these little ones, I just kind of take those and I just roll them up on the end. I don't dovetail them. So, see what I mean? If I would have cut this side, it would have maybe been too short. Let me show you. Let me turn it around here and show you. If I would have cut these already, I could have gotten them too short, and it wouldn't even have come down to the bottom of the wreath. So that's why I don't cut mine. Now, if you know that how far it's coming and you can judge it, then fine. But on this one, my mesh is really, really puffy. So at this point, I just go through and I just trim them all off. And then I dovetail. So what I do is I just put them together and I cut down, and it makes a nice pretty dovetail. Again, I don't have all of my ribbon they're not the same length. They're not. It just adds a little bit of interest if they are not the same length. So then you can go and you can just puff up your bow here, and you can turn these around, like you can manipulate them. They're not going anywhere. You can move them. Looks good. So I'm going to do the same thing up here, but I'm going to probably just make a smaller bow. Let me push this out of the side, and let me pick up my ribbon, and I will show you how to do that one. Oops. All right, guys. So, I'm still going to do a nice tail because I want it to run off the side of my wreath or down the wreath a little bit. So I'm still doing a nice, probably a 20-inch tail. I'm only going to do 7-inch loops this time. As the last time we did 8-inch loops. Remember, you have to twist it to get the pretty side up. One day I'll come on and I will do a tutorial on how to do a hand bow, or how I do mine. Everybody does their hand bows differently, so keep that in mind too. I've seen different ways of doing hand bows, and there's no right or wrong reason. However you get your hand bow and it looks absolutely gorgeous, I'm sure. Now, see how that kind of come apart? So you twist it. You might have to hold it down in there, because the bigger you put your wreath, or not your wreath, but your bows, the bigger your bow gets, these dowel rods are coming apart. So it's not holding your stuff in there. So you kind of gotta keep it down in there and just keep pushing it down in, twist, and see how I'm holding it there so it doesn't pop out. And you just make it a little bit shorter than your other ones. And you can measure. Again, I'm not really one for measuring too much. I just don't. So again, I'm grabbing my 2 pipe cleaners and I'm going to put those together. And you may not use 2 pipe cleaners all the time. I'm doing this because this mesh on this one is really puffy. It's nice and full, so I don't want to run short with just 1 pipe cleaner. Now, if you're doing a grapevine wreath, I typically just do 1 pipe cleaner, and that gets the job done. All right. Again, I did not cut my tails. So this one, I'm going to come up here, and it's going to be kind of up here. So I'm going to take it, and I'm just going to pull my loops out a little bit. Now, if you can see this loop, can you see that? It's too tall. So it's not in there so tight that you can't pull it. So you can just pull it and then measure, and that's perfect. This is the way I measure on my hand bows, and I think most people do. They just pull their loops up, and if they look the same, you're good to go. So I got that. Everything else looks good. And I'm just gonna go up here and I'm just gonna put it in about right here. And again, when you put it in, just run your pipe cleaners down through and go on each side of that metal wire and then twist. You can always come back a little later if you want and add glue. I don't always do that because it's really probably not necessary. So I have this, and I think, and this is another reason, excuse me, why I do not cut my tails, is because sometimes I like it when the ribbon runs from the top or from the bottom and it flows through the wreath. So on this one, I think I might use the checked, and I might run it through the wreath. You don't want to pull it real tight and stick it in there. You don't want that, but you want it loose. And you just go in here and grab a couple of the, what do you call them things, Eric?
What?
Pine needles, is that what there are?
What?
The, pine tines. I'm telling you, she cracks me up when she says pine tines, but I can't remember who it is.
Pine time sounds good.
I know, pine tine sounds wonderful. I can't remember who it is. So there's one little loop, and see, it's nice and loopy, and it just kind of tucks in there. And then I'm going to come down with another one, and I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to grab a couple of the pine needles, pine tines, whatever you want to call them, guys. Ooh, gotta find some first. There's some. And you twist them. And again, see, it's nice and loose. It's not tight. And then I'm just gonna cut it off. Now, I'm not gonna run these other ones through, so I'm just gonna cut these off and then I'll dovetail them. Again, bring your ribbon together and just cut down at a slant. So, the one thing, see how much longer these are than the on the perimeter of your mesh. You do not want your tails too long coming off that mesh. You just want them maybe 2 inches coming off the mesh, because it just doesn't look right. So if you have it coming down more this way, you can cut your ribbon a little bit. But see, this one's coming out, so I don't want it too long. I just want it flowing off the side. I just want it flowing off the side. This one, I'm gonna have coming down a little bit. So I'm just cutting it a little bit shorter. There you go. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one. All right, so then you can come back up here and you can fluff your bow out. It's all squished in there, so just fluff it out, bring it out. And don't be afraid to move it around. It's fine, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Put all this mesh, or this ribbon. All right. I think it's looking pretty gorgeous already. All right, guys. So when I start to add my florals and my greenery and my picks, I don't glue anything until I know this is where I want them. So keep that in mind. Once you glue, they're probably in there and they're not coming out. So I'm just going to take it and cut. I'm just going to cut these. Now some of them you don't want to cut too short because again, you don't want your florals just like all plastered up in there. Some of them you might want a little bit longer. You might want them coming out a little further. So that's kind of how I do that. So when I place my florals, and I try to do everything at like a triangle. I try to do at a triangle, and because
a triangle.
Well, as you're putting it in, and I'll show you once I get these florals in here, I'll show you where I place them and what it looks like. And I'm not talking about your greenery. I'm talking about your larger florals that you're putting in. That's more what I'm talking about, not your greenery. So this is what I'm talking about at a triangle. So I put one here, and then there's one down here. So it's a triangle. If I was to put another one, and I probably will, I might have two different triangles going on. So hang on just a second. I want to go grab me some more of these because I want to put some more of those in there. Hang on. So I buy my florals, most of them, from either Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Every other week, Hobby Lobby has theirs on sale. So I usually buy them every other week there. Michael's, sometimes if you are a, I don't know, what is it, some kind of, I don't know. You sign up for their program, they give you coupons if you spend so much money. And sometimes they have, I just was there, 3 weeks ago, Eric, and we got 50% off of all my Michaels. So, so if you see, I added this one, so now I have another triangle going on here. All right. And again, I don't glue anything until I get everything where I want it. Then I go back and glue it. So if you look here, you have, if you look at the back, you can probably see it better. I have 3 of the little picks that I can cut off. And I have this little thing here and this one. And then I have 2 of the little wispies. I'm not using the little wispies right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and you don't, sometimes you don't have to cut. If you just pull, they just pull right out. I'll just set that over to the side. Now I know I want one of these up here, but again, that one that I just put in was a little bit too little, and you couldn't see it. So I know I like that one. So I have these other ones too. They're a little bit more blingy, but again, they're on here the same way. They're all gonna come off the same way. So think I might put a blingy one up here, guys. I like a little bit of bling. And again, all you're doing is putting it in the pine needles. And then I'm going to go back in and glue it. That's all you're doing. And again, try to work in your threes. Some people who do wreaths, they like to set their wreath up on an easel to do them. I do these where they're not sitting up. Again, it's kind of sometimes a little tricky getting it in between the mesh, getting it in the pines, but just keep it going. Just keep pushing in there. It'll eventually go in. All right, guys. So I have some of these, and again, we have one up here, and one here. That's a huge triangle, and I'm going to go ahead and put one up in here. And so let's see. All right. So before I go any further, I want to also put some greenery in. This greenery I got at Hobby Lobby. And if you notice, one has greenery long and then one is its top. I push, usually for this one, I'm pushing all the greenery to the tip. And then I'll cut it off. Sometimes it's a little tough pushing it up, but for what I'm wanting here, it looks better when it's pushed up. And then I just add greenery throughout just to add a little bit of greenery and a little bit of pop. These have a little bit of yellow or white flowers on the tip. A little bit of white flowers. So you're not only working on the top, you also have the sides down here. So you want to make sure you're putting some in the sides, because you don't want to forget about your sides, because people will look at the side of your wreath too. They will look at all angles of your wreath. Push the rest of these up and get them cut off, and then we'll put them in there. Getting a little full here, guys. So I don't know if I like these or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just clip them And if you notice, there's 2 stems I can cut off. And if I need them to cut a little shorter, I can do that too. For example, so what I want to do with these is I want these coming off of my ribbon, kind of coming down and around in my ribbon. So I will put these in my ribbon and kind of make those come out. It looks like the flowers are kind of coming out at you, and you know, sometimes you don't want all your flowers just kind of oops, okay. So if your flowers come off the stem when you're working, if you just put a little teeny tiny dab of glue and take your floral and push it on there, and just let that dry. So I like how those look coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and use these. These also came from Hobby Lobby. So pretty. All right. I might want another one up in here. Maybe. We'll see. All right, so not only am I going to have them coming out of my bow here, I want them to come down and flow down my bow. So I can come in here like this, and they can flow down through my my bow, out of my bow. And you don't always have it on top. You can come underneath and have it flowing down. And if you think it's too long, like this one right here, I think is too long, I'm just going to take it out, and I'm just going to trim it, bend it, and put it back in there. And see, now it's not too long. It's just perfect. So before I go any further, I'm going to go back through and glue. I'm going to go back and glue everything in real quick. Ooh, turned out a glue gun. All right, so I know for sure, and the same way with these flowers. See how low this flower is? You can push that all the way up to the top. I do have a glue pot. Ooh, Eric. That was a chunk of glue. I do have a glue pot, but I don't use it very often. I just run glue on the outside of that and just put it in. Sometimes I don't keep the greenery from the flowers on there. It's not as pretty as I like, but these the geraniums aren't too bad. I kind of like them. They're kind of cute. And again, I'm just taking and just running glue down the stem and putting that in there. Let's see, where else do I have geranium? This one over here. baby's been keep coming out. So when you put that in there, you are covering up greenery. So keep that in mind. When you are putting that in there, you're covering up that greenery that you don't want to see in the summer, in the spring. It's okay at Christmas time, but it's really not okay. Whoops. It's not okay with any other season. It really isn't. Let's see, I know I have another one somewhere. Okay, so, all right, so I'm gonna start gluing my greenery in too. Okay, so even with your greenery, you do not want your greenery hanging way, well, let me move it over, way out here. You want it to be tucked in like this. It's tucked in and it's just peeking out, because you don't want it hanging out there like it's lost and it doesn't know where to go. It needs to be just peeking out from that mesh, just peeking out. See how it just, let me roll it around here. It just peeks out. It's not sticking way out here. And it's the same way when you're putting it on top of your wreath. You don't want it sticking way far out. It just doesn't look right. So I'm putting this down in here where the greenery is, because or the pine needles, because I'm covering up those pine needles that were on top here. Eric, what you doing over there? All right. Oop, under here's one. So, I'm so sad that I wasn't able to go live with y'all tonight. That really makes me sad. Clean up some of my mess here. Put the trash. All right, I think I have all my greenery in. I think. All right, it is looking absolutely gorgeous. So what I'm gonna start doing now is working on this bow. I'm gonna work on the bow. So I know I like these coming out. So what I do is down in your ribbon, just put a little dab of glue, just like a little, I guess a little dab, just like a little, oops, wrong one. And then just put it in there and it'll just pop out. This one, I've got two coming out here, so let me I guess it's just like a little ball of glue. I put it down in there and drop it. And then you can just straighten your ribbon back up. And this one I did not put in the ribbon, guys. This one is going down into the pine needles, down by the bow. So I'm going to put some glue on the end of it. Whoop, it's dripping. Dripping. So it can come right out through there. So another thing that I like to do of the flowers coming out from the bow going down is I like to use these two. These, I think they're called, is it ranunculus? I think. I'm not good with flower names, but these look pretty coming down, flowing down from the wreath too, from the bow. So I'm gonna put some of those in there too. Now this is the one that I bent because it's a little longer and it's gonna come right down. So let me hold it here for a second, guys. Oh, I forgot a greenery.
I think everyone's gonna agree. We need to add a beautiful clown head. Yes, right there. Eating the watermelon. Look at that, almost matches with the red. And
You can tell that he loves Halloween. He is always, and if you've watched any of my lives or anything before, you'll know that Eric loves Halloween. He has got tons of toys. That he gets out. Right now we have a clown. I don't think I've showed you that yet. Maybe maybe we'll look at that. All right. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the tip here, and I am just going to put this up in under that ribbon. And it'll just come peeking through. It's just peeking through, guys. All right, so I'm just gonna straighten up my ribbon here. Oh, I want him in there. Woo, dripping glue, dripping glue. And we're almost done, guys. We are almost done. Not wanting to go down in there. There it goes. There it goes. Oh, he didn't get glued in. Now you can do the same thing up here with this bow. You can add your, you can add some of these red florals to it. I'm not going to add any. If I choose later, I might come back and add some, but I'm not going to add any right now. I think this is done. I hope that you all have enjoyed coming on here with me, even though it wasn't live, it was a video. I hope you enjoyed it. So let me hold it up here to you. And what I normally try to do is, hang on just a second, Eric. What I try to do is, when I do a wreath and it's laying down on the table, it's kind of a little difficult to tell if everything looks good. So once I'm done, I usually try to hang it up and look at it to see if it looks good, to see if there's any gaps, holes, or anything. So, you know, my bow kind of looks, but anyways, here it is, guys. I hope that you've had fun. And just know you could add more ribbon if you want to, but you don't have to. I think this one's good. Eric's going to take it down. I think he's going to show you. Oh, I'm going to hold this. I'm going to hold this up. This is a huge, huge wreath. Can you see? I mean, it's huge. It's huge. So it's going to make a statement on somebody's door. So while I'm in here, I'm going to turn you around. Eric, you're moving me around. Let me have that. You're making people dizzy. Oh, he just turned out my light. So I'm going to turn you around and let you see Eric's toy. Remember, I just told you he's into Halloween. So every once in a while, even when it's not Halloween, he brings out his animated characters and he sets them up. So why do you do that?
Make sure they're working.
To make sure they're working. Anyways, let me turn you around. Let me show you this guy. Let me show you this guy. Okay, here, hold it. Okay, can you hit him again? Where do I hit him at? All right, guys. He looks like he's gonna fall over. Anyways, okay. That's Eric's toy. One of many, guys. He has lots and lots of toys. But he brings them out just to make sure they're working and to not leave them in the boxes all year, because he does have several of the animated characters. So I won't keep you on here any longer, guys. We've been on here a little over an hour. So thank you for coming on, watching my video. And hopefully the next time we do a wreath together, it's going to be live. So thanks, guys. Bye.